All right, good evening, everybody. So yesterday, as much as that I'm not part of that kehillah that does this, and although I've dabbled in the daf yomi somewhat, but it's a little too slow for me. I'd like to do at least 2 daf a day, usually a little bit more than that. But I used to for a while. I remember when I was in high school, I did a few mesechtas, the shorter mesechtas at the end of Seder Moed. Did all of those, and then I did also ksubas. I didn't do Yevamis though. With the daf yomi, and then also here in the shul, sometimes they would ask me to give the daf yomi shir, and then like I said, it was too slow for me, so I sped up, and I finished Shas well over a year ago. Almost a year and a half ago now. For the first time, but I regretted that. I could have learned it a few times, since then. From that time, I could have, if I would have stuck with the daf yomi that time, I could have finished Shas 2 or 3 times. But Baruch Hashem, I was through it once, and I'm sticking to every day to do very fast bekiyas, 2 blot a day. So now I'm learning the Dorim. They're short blot. I do a little bit more sometimes. But it's a big simcha that so many Yidden celebrating Torah, making a Kiddush Hashem at such a difficult time. Afal pi that there's a lot of improper things that are affiliated with that, but the Lubliner Rav was a big tzaddik, big Talmud Chacham, tremendous person, a tremendous figure, a leader, and a visionary. But that's not why I'm talking right now. I know it became cliche for us on From Twitter, and I know my friend from Yeshiva, Yair Dar, he made a song about the From Twitter for Hanukkah. He didn't mention the Koblenzer Rav, but that's okay. It's because we went to Yeshiva together. He didn't mention Rafi Hecht either. I think he's on Twitter. So it's it's a little too close to home. But the from Twitter, it became cliche. All the pictures of this boy Yonatan, I don't remember his last name, who decided to come to the Siyum HaShas dressed like Waldo. And I just want to thank this I don't know, he's a Bacher, younger man, Yonatan, don't remember his last name, for doing this, because at work I could, I've tried to, as a chaplain, I'm a chaplain not just for the inmates, but also for the staff. And it's hard for me to really develop any kind of a kesher with staff. It takes a lot of work to do that. Some of the other chaplains, it comes more naturally to them. They have more in common with the staff, and I don't have as much in common with the staff there. But I try to make an effort to make some kind of a connection, make a Kiddush Hashem. Not too much, because there's a lot of problems in this type of community, but at least to make epis a Kiddush Hashem to my co-workers. And I appreciate this Rebbe Yonason. By doing this, he gave me something to talk about that I could explain to my non-Jewish co-workers. I said, yesterday there was an event. It took place in the MetLife Stadium where the Jets play. And I think the Giants also play there. My father was a Jets fan, and it used to be the Meadowlands. No, I don't know, whatever it is. And I said, this happens once every 7.5 years. Some of the people I explained a little more. And I said, you can imagine, 90,000 people, and the majority of the men there were dressed like I dress, with a black hat and a black suit, different styles, but I didn't explain. I tried to keep it simple. And I said, and in that big sea of the black hats, right in the middle, one guy, he came dressed like Waldo. And everybody cracked up except the one guy. He said, "Oh, you mean Waldo from Family Matters?" I said, "No, I mean Waldo from Where's Waldo." So then I don't know if I have to explain, that when I mean Waldo from Where's Waldo, and not Waldo from Family Matters. That's an obscure reference, the Waldo from Family Matters. But I knew who he's talking about, but it was a different Waldo. So then after that, I was saying Waldo from Where's Waldo. But I was like, most people, they know when you say Waldo, you mean Waldo from Where's Waldo. It's kind of like, I remember when they first opened here in White Lake, where I live, they opened the Dollar General. And so when they first opened the Dollar General, I think it was the summertime, so in the heimische Chassidische Eden sind dort gewesen damals. And it was one, a Chassidische Frau, a Satmerer Frau, sie gebeten von der shopkeeper dort, do you have Crocs? So then the shopkeeper, she had to explain. She said, we don't have Crocs, brand Crocs, but we have off-brand Crocs style, and they have cars from the movie Cars. From the movie Cars. She had to explain, it was cars from the movie Cars. The movie Cars. And I don't think this lady knew the movie Cars, but she explained it has cars from the movie Cars. So I can explain it was Waldo from Where's Waldo. So just a little bit something light to lighten up the mood, because I've been so ungeblusen after this mice in Muncie by Kostner Rebbe, and I don't know him. I don't, but then I see my Rebbe. My Rebbe's the Kalavar Rebbe. One thing I do for my Rebbe, for Kalavar Rebbe, this is really the kesher I keep with him right now. I haven't seen him really since I made the Siyum HaShas. I made the Siyum HaShas there by him. He had the chasna, he had a bar mitzvah in Einikel, and by near Einikel, he had the bar mitzvah, and by the Rebbe's Einikel, friends of mine, they told me, they said it would give the Rebbe a lot of chizuk, because he has Lou Gehrig's disease, so it'll give him a lot of chizuk, give the Rebbe a lot of chizuk if I make the Siyum HaShas there by him, and that's what I did. And there's a recording here on YouTube. I spoke in Yiddish there by the Siyum HaShas that I made by the bar mitzvah, by the Einikel from the Visions Rebbe from London. And so it was in the year for the Visions Rebbe, Zechar Levracha Ramatala. So he took my Gemara. The Visions Rebbe took my Gemara. He said that the Kaddish on my Siyum, the Kaddish was said by the Visions Rebbe. So it's a big schuz. But every week, Kalavar Rebbe Shlita, the Shevfur Shleimer, Moshe ben Rezel, Shevfur Shleimer, the Rebbe writes every day. He writes the very Torah. It's really quite incredible. What is this guy doing? I can't really pass him because there's all these cars here. What does he want me to do? He's going less than the speed limit. So, so the Rebbe, Kalavar Rebbe, every day is writing the Vrei Torah. It's a hafla fellow we have, the technology that we have, the same way how Stephen Hawking, how Stephen Hawking, he had a machine that read his eye movements. So the same thing, the Rebbe Shlita Lahavdil, he has this machine that reads the eye movements. The nafkamina is the machine that Hawkins had. It would talk for him. The Rebbe's machine, it doesn't talk. It only, you can read it on the screen, and he can print it. He prints like a little receipt, kind of, with a divrei bracha. But this is how the Rebbe communicates. But he writes incredible divrei Torah practically every day. If he's very sick, he's not able to write, and it's horrific and sad. And so they publish all his divrei Torah that he writes every week. So what is this guy doing? Why is he braking when he's going under the speed limit? There's nowhere to pass here. Over here maybe? No, but there's cars coming. I can't pass. What is he doing? So, actually, it's not. So anyway, maybe now I can. But now he's going fast again. What's he doing? Alright, let me try to pass him. But now he's with it. I don't think I can get around him. Wait. What's he doing? So the Rebbe writes every day. Kamat every day's writing. Beautiful, incredible divrei Torah. And he picks one every week that should be translated. And I translate it to English. And then he has other translators who make it in Spanish and in French and in Portuguese. So it's really an incredible thing. So he has to. The computer he has from Israel, so he has to write in Hebrew, but sometimes he can fit a Yiddish word there because it has like predictive text, so like he can he doesn't have to write every word. It's an incredible thing to watch when the Rebbe is writing. But anyway, so today he wrote. I didn't have any idea. The Rebbe has so many K'nai Nahara, so many children, Einaklach, near Einaklach, so many Mechutanim. So I knew the Vishnitzer Rebbe was a Mechutan. Both the Satmar Rebbe is a Mechutanim. The Tolsaver Yitzchak Rebbe, the Ala Rebbe, Shadlovtzer Rebbe, who I have shaykhs with. These Rebbes, these tzaddikim, and. But the Kala Rebbe was my Rebbe, and I'm Hungarian. I have a Hungarian Rebbe. So he so anyway, he wrote today. I had no idea that the Forshay Rebbe is his Mechutin. And so his Einaklach were actually there. My Rebbe's Einaklach were there. Two of his Einaklach were there two of his grandsons were there by this Malava Malka, and where there was the Shtecherai. And he said the one Einakol was mamish right in front of. He looked eye to eye to this Ritzeach, the slasher. I wish I had a horror movie, such a thing, And what the Rebbe wrote to send out Barabim, and you can write to the Kalaver Moistus and get the Divrei Torah sent to you every week. He said we have to be so thankful for the things we had no idea about. So we have to be thankful that so few people got hurt. Nobody's gotten killed. We hope nobody gets killed from this. And we have to realize, we have to thank God for all of this, realize how much could happen, that mamish every moment it could happen, something like this could happen, worse than this could happen. We have to be so thankful. Like I started talking about the Siyum HaShas, 90,000 Jews. You know how thankful we have to be that nobody came with a bomb. No, and I know that there was police, and that even I saw at Kedei Kach that the news reporters couldn't get like a mile away from the stadium because it was such a high level of security, like when the president is here, they said. But the thing is we're thankful to these Basa Radam who are the Shluchim of Hashem. But the Maisa in the Gemara Brachas, it brings that there's all these. This the Rebbe didn't say, but the Gemara Brachas, it brings that Rebbeinu HaKadosh was once there by Rebbeinu HaKadosh in Zippori, in the Galilee, by Rav Yehuda Nasi, by his kever. It was just an incredible experience to be there, a supernatural experience. Very few places I felt such a supernatural experience. One was by the Zayda, the Maharal, which I just can't even describe, and I don't have pictures of that. And I just like, and once was right by Pinchas Koritzer, in Spativka. Anyway, what was I saying here? So the Rebbeinu HaKadosh, it lists there. It's interesting why they have Rebbe there. Most of other prayers that are listed there are from Amoraim, but they listed what did the different Amoraim daven when they finished their Shemona Esrei. Before they took 3 steps back, they would add their own personal prayer. And what was their own personal prayer? And so the Rebbe, he would daven for protection. And they said, even though he had all kinds of officers protecting him, he's very well connected with the Roman government. He was very well respected. Antoninus was his best friend. It seemed that was Marcus Aurelius. And even though his father's name was Antoninus, but that's... And yet he still recognized he had to daven for protection because he understood we're thankful to these human beings, but we recognize everything's from God. And so with all of the hishtadlus that we did as Klal Yisrael and New Jersey and New York to make sure that the Siyum HaShas was safe, we have to be so thankful that you didn't have, I mean, because there's so much technology you have today. What would have stopped somebody from taking a chvez, what do they call it, a drone, dropping things? All right, so maybe they would have seen the drone and they would have shot it down. But but that's also me'es Hashem ha'isazos. You understand? So we have to recognize that and give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the tremendous chesed that there was no, that the Siyum HaShas went well and nothing ches v'sholom happened. So, Kitzer, That's what we're talking about here. That we always have to be thankful. And he said from this week's Sedra that like Yaakov Avinu essentially was being thankful to God that only Yosef was taken from him and none of the other sons, because there were all kinds of Chayas Ra'os that lived there. I mean, in those days in Eretz Yisrael they had lions. Now the Asiatic lions, they only live in India, and there are only a few hundred left. But in biblical times, there were the Asian lions that lived in Eretz Yisrael, and there were other wild animals that lived there in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know how many of them are still around. And what it seems there were tigers also, I believe. I don't know if they went as far as Eretz Yisrael, but there were tigers in Iran. Persian tigers that I think they went extinct. But the point is that he's thankful as much as Yaakov was mourning for the loss of Yosef, but he was thankful that Yosef, that it was only Yosef and it wasn't the other sons, and that's all he lost, you know. So this and this is what the Rebbe is saying, and I'm sure the Rebbe is talking about his own personal suffering there, of how he's suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease, because he said another Maisa that there was brought in the Svarma Kadeshim, there was a chassid, his foot, he got a splinter in his foot, and it was very painful that he had a splinter in his foot. And someone said, "Oh, I have so much pity on you that your foot is hurting." And the chassid said to this other guy, he said, "Well, at least it wasn't in my eye, and at least I didn't get it earlier, because I have to be thankful to Hashem for that." And of course, the Rebbe is saying like that because Baruch Hashem, it's not in the eye, because he still has that one eye that he can talk to us with. It's a gewaltige Zach, So I'm sure that's what he's being meramis to in the Divrei Torah. So we should all be zoiche to have thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and be happy and blessed. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later.